Hi, I'm Glenn, City of Island Fishing Field Team, COAF Field Team, and today is January 22nd, Wednesday. And this round, I would like to talk about is while we're surfing the net, we saw a question come up concerning fly line and cutting too much line off your fly line. Suspect that this is a case where you're switching out leaders and you're using a nail knot. And saw some questions, some answers to that, and I think we can go into more detail, or at least our suggestion from some lessons learned that we've found over the years. And because a picture is worth 1,000 words, well, we made an infographic to go into detail as to what we were talking about. So let's take a look at that infographic. There it is, fly line to leader connections. And so we step through our suggestion in the upper left box and shift over to the arrow, talk about some do-it-yourself fly line leaders and specifics on an article that we wrote, as well as a blog post that we wrote also that has some information there. And then going into those different, ways to connect your fly line so you can reduce the number of times you cut your line. If not, don't cut it all. So there's the braided loop, there's a do-it-yourself loop, a nail knot, and then finally a nail knot variant. Alrighty, so we'll get that posted on our blog, as well as I'll put a link to the article as well as the blog post for that information in the description of this video. Okay, so well, let's go ahead and talk about that article and some specifics of it, and then I'll take you into some more specifics in that blog post. Okay, so here's the article. There's a link in the picture. And it's called DIY Fly Line Leader. And in there, it came from a reader's question. We were answering it and basically talked about two types of fly line leader recipes that we use. So do take a look at that. And in there, there's a small section that briefly talks about, let's show it. And in that section, if you just scroll down to the bottom of the article, it'll talk about ways to attach a leader to a fly line, and there's a link in there that'll take you over to our blog post, stalkertroutfishing.com, and it'll give you some details on how we tie or connect our fly line to leader. And I believe that'll answer, or at least help answer, the question about cutting off too much line, because what you want to do is keep it at a minimum. And what we found is this method has worked really well for us over the years. And well, let's give you some more details of the various ones. So first up, let's talk about the article itself, or no, the blog post. Let's go ahead and bring that up. Okay, so it's called Fly Line Leader Tippet Ring Connections, and there's the URL, and then like we said, we'll put that in our description so that you can easily link to it. And in there, it just talks about some various ways that we tie this. And the first one that's going to be described, let's go ahead and bring that one up. The first one's going to be a braided loop. Okay, so this is one that you can pick up. It's a commercial version. We call it the commercial solution. You buy a braided loop, sometimes from Rio. I think we picked this up at Cabela's way back when. And I think we might be able to show you which one we have that uses that. Let's see. I think it's on an old Fly Start Ross reel. Yeah, it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and show you. This is the braided loop right here. I'll just kind of pull that out right here. Okay, so what happens is you buy one of these. I think there's like 6 in the pack. And this section right here is a little braided piece with a sleeve. You slide it over the fly line. You put the sleeve over. You can super glue it or shrink or heat it up. And basically your commercial version or solution to having a loop. Place that welded loop that you get with the ones that do come with a loop already built in. So then you can just do a loop-to-loop connection with your leader. And forevermore, until you replace the fly line, or if you do have to, we've never had to replace one of these braided loops, is all you do is just keep cutting off your leader and just keep doing a loop-to-loop connection. So you'll never cut into your fly line. You'll reduce the amount of, well, you don't have to worry about cutting it anymore. All right, so that is the braided loop. All right, and let's see. Ooh, let's go look for the next one. Okay, so let's go and take you to that picture. I think that one is called the DIY loop. And the reason why we call it the DIY loop is, let's see, right here, DIY workaround. So there's various techniques to do this, to make your own loop. Basically, you can do an elaborate welded loop, or you can do a simple wrapped loop. In our case, we'll do it simple. All right, and let's see. Let's see if we can find that one. I think it's this one. This is an old, I think. Let's see. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. Okay, so before we go into the welded loop, we did notice that you asked why we strayed away from the braided loop, even though it is a good commercial solution. Well, what ends up happening is most often we never seem to have a braided loop when we need one, especially when we're out in the field or something. Sometimes it's in a fly box, sometimes it's in our fly little vest, fly little backpack thing that we have, but we never seem to have one. So we don't use the braided loop that much anymore, except on this one. Okay, so let's talk about the DIY welded loop. Or in this case, this is the DIY solution workaround. And what we're talking specifically is, okay, so there's different ones. You can go elaborate, where I think there's some instruction that we saw online where you can take, I think it's like a solution, maybe acetate or something, that softens this. You open up the plastic coating and you take out the inner piece on the first section, and then you can take a needle and thread it through, and then you can do all kinds of cool things, and it looks like a commercial version of it. Well, I'm kind of lazy about it. I'd rather be fishing. So what ends up happening is all I do is I take a section of it, bend it over like so, and basically just like fly tying, go and tie a piece, like I'm wrapping a fly body, and end up with this. So sometimes we use dental floss, sometimes you'll tying thread. We'll use some super glue to strengthen it, and then some hard as nail polish we've used as well. In other cases, we'll some use UV glue, and this, we've never had one break on us. All right, I think the largest one we caught with this fly reel, this old White River 5-weight. I think this one was maybe 15, 16-inch trout, I think. Yeah, I think. Anyways, we've not had this break on us, and if it did, well, oh well. We'll try something else. Okay, so that is your DIY workaround. And in this case, you don't have to cut your fly line. You just keep replacing the leader with a loop-to-loop connection. So you can pick up the theme on this. It's a loop-to-loop connection. This is what we're striving for. All right, so let's go to the next one. Oh, and speaking of why we don't do that as often, I think I alluded to it earlier, or just a moment ago, is I'm kind of lazy. I'd rather be fishing and spending my time watching it dry, putting this all together, and taking all that time to make a DIY loop. I'd rather be fishing instead of making that. So the next one is a nail knot. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at that one. Okay, this one's called the nail knot, and this is the old school way. It's a classic connection. You learned it from the public library from way back when, where they were still talking silk line and whatnot, and then tying your leader with a nail knot, and use that for many years. But ouch, hate cutting that line. So yes, ouch, hate cutting that line. So every time we switch out the leader, you snip a little piece. Put another nail knot on there, you snip another piece. And ooh, some seasons we'll definitely switch out a leader pretty often. So I hate doing that. Hate doing that. So, but let's talk about it. And in the article, I think we have some details there specifically on the nail knot piece. And I think the big call out there, or at least lesson learned with that is, here it is. Okay, there's the nail knot. Using a nail knot tool, tying tool, that's the big lesson learned, is we like this nail knot tying tool. Because the old way we were doing it was using a nail and wrapping it around, kind of wiggling the line through, and then you're able to make that nail knot connection. So the big lesson learned there is use a nail knot tying tool. Again, it's the classic way of attaching your fly leader to your fly line. But the bummer on that is you got to snip it every time you switch out that leader. I mean, you can kind of cheat it a little by basically just replacing the tippet section, but eventually you'll end up kind of going down, and next you know you've used up that leader, or it's really torn up, or maybe something broke off, and it's time to replace that leader. So when you replace a leader, you end up cutting the line, your fly line. So the last one, which is in case, well, this is the one that we mainly use going forward. And let's go ahead and take you to that one. Okay, it's the nail knot variant. Okay, and what's it involved? It involves a perfection loop. It still involves the nail knot. Still use that nail knot tying tool, but in this case, you're using a stiff section of mono line, 30-pound test. So basically, the same thickness, I guess, of the butt section of your leader. So, trying to remember. Well, it's on all our fly lines or fly reels going forward. So let's see if I can grab one here real quick. Okay, here it is. This is the Orbis 2-weight that we got the other day, and let's go ahead and show you what we're talking about. Okay, so we were talking perfection loop, we're talking a nail knot, and we're talking a length of line that's about basically the same thickness as the butt section of your fly leader. So let's see. Well, a big do-over here, because it turns out this line comes with its own welded loop. So, oops, can't show you this one. Let's go find another one. Okay, so we found it. This is our Echo Ion 4.5 weight. And in this case, there's a nail knot. There's a perfection loop here at the end. And then here's our leader, and it's a loop-to-loop connection. So what happens is you take a length of your stiff mono, in this case 30-pound test is what we were using. We do a nail knot connection to the line, and that's the only time. You just snip it one time, and that's it. And then now you have this loop-to-loop connection. So now anytime you change out your leader, you're only changing out the leader. You still have this loop-to-loop connection that'll be there. And we've had this one, this has been on here for at least 5 years, 4 or 5 years. So it'll last a while. This has been replaced a lot, the leader. This has not been replaced a lot. It had that one little snip, and that's it. And so I hope this answers the question concerning if you cut too much line. Bottom line, you should basically cut it no time if you do those other solutions, or if you use the nail knot variant. In this case, it's just the one little snip. Just one little snip though, not a big cut. And then after that, you just replace the leader with a loop-to-loop connection. So before we close out here, let's go and explain why we do this now. There we go. Although there are other ways to accomplish what we described above, in this case, that article, we seem to keep using these connections year to year, year in and year out, with the nail knot variant being the most often lately because, like we were saying, we ran out of braided loops, too lazy as well as impatient to make a DIY loop. You got to glue it, wrap it, and let it dry. And then by then you could have gone fishing. And then the knot tying, the nail knot is quick, and you could do it out in the field, especially with that nail knot tying tool. But man, I hate cutting it every single time when I have to replace that leader. So that nail knot variant one, it just has us do it that one time snip, and then after that we just keep using it throughout the season with replacing just a loop-to-loop connection, perfection loop from that little piece of mono, or that short section of mono. Where is it? Right here. Right here. Short section of mono. In this case, this is like maybe a 8-inch, 10-inch piece right here. So nail knot here, perfection loop here. All right, and then that's it. And so in fact, here we'll do a real quick demo for you as to how we do this. Okay, we'll do a real quick demo. This old fly reel we have that has some line in there, some old fly line, and there it is. Okay. The line that we like using, because we use this as our butt section most of the time when we do our DIY fly leaders, is Trilene 30-pound test. And for this one, we'll just grab a foot, let's just say, or a length of fly line. Okay. Here's that nail knot tying tool. Ooh. Very simple. You take it from this section here, or this side, move it through this gap like deal. All right, and you basically just wrap it about 4 turns, 5 turns in this case for this size line, just depends, and you wrap it through. I think we got another video on this that'll show this, but we'll just show real quick. Once you set it on there, and you take the section that you want, run it through the tool, so it'll go through this deal here, and then you pretty much just pull real quick, and there it is. Okay, so at this point, you probably good to use some pliers or some forceps, but pull it tight here with just the line itself without pulling on the fly line, and then you can pull on the fly line, and there you go. In this case, we did pretty good on this one where we don't have to snip it any closer. So, right, so that turned out pretty good. And at this point, we'll snip off the excess here. All right, so the excess is gone, and now we have just this length of line. And then at this point, you can make a quick perfection loop. And, you can go online and see how to tie it, but it's fairly quick. Quick perfection loop, and pull it tight and cut this deal off, and there you go. There it is. So you never have to cut this one anymore, your fly line. All you do is just keep doing a loop-to-loop connection here. All right. So I hope this helps answer, or at least clarify for some of the folks that are starting out on how to do their fly line to leader connection, and maybe reduce the amount of at least pain for cutting your fly line, because those fly lines, especially do it right, can get expensive at times, and you do definitely use up a lot of leader during the season, if not over the years. Alrighty, so thanks for joining us today, and we hope this helps. Alrighty, so until next time, we'll catch y'all later, and good luck and good fishing. And oh, by the way, if you like what we're doing, do like and subscribe.